This is my wife's 2010 Mazda 3, and a while back it started having problems in that when you put it into park, the P light would not go on, and you could only start by putting your foot on the brake, sliding it into neutral, and then it would work fine after that. So I found a video, which I've linked below, that showed how to adjust the transmission shifter cable down below in here, and there's a way to do that so that you can kind of change how far it pushes and pulls going to the transmission. So I did that, and I was able to only get it so that when the P was working, the drive wasn't working. And so then I decided that it was probably this assembly under here, the whole shifter thing. So I bought one on eBay for about 80 bucks, put it in, and it made no difference. So it wasn't the assembly. So then I read in a forum that it was probably the shifter cable itself, which would be stretched out and no longer allow the play that you can adjust for in here to take effect. So it said, remove the airbox, remove the battery box, change the cable, easy peasy. And I'm quoting the forum. Well, that turned out not to be the case, which is why I'm making this video after the fact. But I will include enough information here so you to figure it out. So to start with, you do have to remove the center console. I'll include a link to another video that shows how to do that pretty well. And then down under here, you remove these two side panels, one on the driver's side and one on the passenger side. They just snap out. So nothing magical about that process. Okay, this is the left side panel that I pulled off. Basically, you pull it away at the top and then slide it out this way. You can see it's got a couple of things that pop out and then a tab that goes in the hole back there. Then if you pull down on all this stuff and you look in there, which I need to turn the light on, it looks like, you can see the shifter cable where it goes through the firewall. Those are two nuts. I think they were 10, maybe 11. I dropped one, which is why you see two different ones on there. You can get in there with a wrench and undo them. It helps to have small hands to put them back on to get them started before you can use a wrench. And my wife, I got them both out from this side, but it turned out to be easier for my wife to reach in with her hands to start the far one from the passenger side. And I'm going to put this back together. Let's see, how did this go? I forget. Into the tab. Push it back there and snap it in here. There you go. So you take the battery box off, or sorry, the air box off first. You just unsnap those. It's held by some push-in grommet things underneath. There's one back here somewhere, and there's one up front, or over on this side. You undo this screw, don't lose the nut, and then if you pull up, you'll find that this hose here goes in, and you can actually kind of duck it under, pull up, and get it out of the way over here and tie it off with a wire or something. Then the battery box cover comes off. You just take off the bracing, and then this end slides out. I had to kind of cut, or I was never able to get this to pull out, so I ended up popping it out and didn't put it back. There's a couple of bolts under there that you get out. This cover comes off, and then these connectors come off. You just lift this white lever and it pushes them out. I forget whether it comes up or down, and I don't want to mess with it because everything's working right now. And then you kind of fold all that stuff out of the way, and you take the battery out. Then you remove the rest of the battery box because you're going to need it, the space in there. After that, what you're trying to change out is the transmission shifter cable, which ends up coming down under here and hooking onto the transmission down in there somewhere. Sorry I didn't take better videos while I was doing it, but I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. Alright, so this is kind of a pain in the ass. There's the butt end of the small 1/4-inch socket, and you can see the strap way up under there, and I did manage to get the nut back on with the socket by hand with a socket. To get the nut on, I put my hand up through this hole right here like this. And I was able to start threading it. That's also how I got that strap on and off in the first place. So if I back up a little bit, you can see the holes that I'm going through underneath here. So, whoever said on YouTube or on the forum that this was easy peasy was sorely mistaken. Here's sort of the idea of, I guess you can't really see it from there. Where the heck is the lens? There's the lens. This is kind of worthless. If I can make it bigger. Okay, there, that's the best you're gonna get. There's just barely room to get in there. Boy, if you're an Italian mechanic with fat fingers, you're going to be shit out of luck on this job. Alright, I forgot to mention earlier, to even see that, you have to move this fire shielding, heat shielding foil stuff out of the way. So you probably want to tuck that back as best you can. Which I'm doing here. In the back, to get it to move, I actually had pulled some of it down, so I should probably push that back up. I think it was over on that side that I tried. That's as good as I'm going to do for a car with 169,000 miles on it. Okay, so there you can see the strap is now covered by the hay. And I've pushed the shielding back in place, and I'm done under the car. I said I was done, I lied. I forgot to push the other side of the shielding back up kind of into place. It's fairly loose down there, but who cares? Okay, so at this point, I have the new cable in the right place coming up from below. We got it bolted into the cabin, except I ran it to the wrong side of this pipe, whatever that is. So let's get it over to that side somehow. seems to be working. Then I think it went behind that. Yeah, absolutely. So we have to get it over here. Okay, and now these little snap things. By the way, those holes, I ended up just taking dikes to those previous old ones, cutting them off, and then punching the remaining plastic through. That seemed to work pretty well. There's probably an easier way, but I couldn't figure it out. Okay, now I have to get that snapped in. Okay, there's one. And then this. I wonder if I should thread. Okay, the airbox is flopped back over in the way, so let's push that up and just make sure we're in good shape here. We're not. So we want to end up going down there. So I need to get behind this thing, this cable assembly, and then we'll see where we are. Then we come down through there, and it goes on. See how it's got this fastener clip on it? That wants to be facing outward, so it needs to be turned like that when you snap it on the shaft. And the shaft you can see way down there. Oh, and then there's this notch, which looks like it's where this goes. Do I have it turned right? I guess that'll turn in the way. So this appears to only go on one way, like that. And now hopefully this will rotate. It does. And I believe you probably have to pull this up. I can't remember. Let's just try pushing it on for starters. Yeah, that's not working so well. So let's see how this thing actually is supposed to work. All right, to get it loose, I just kind of ripped the whole thing out. So I'm thinking, well, we need to get that inner part away from the slot. How do you do that? I guess we take a screwdriver to it and pull it that way after we get it on, part way. Let's see. Looks like I'm going on the right way there. Yeah, it's got to be that way. I should have left it on the first time. There we go. And that just leaves us with the one thing. I'm thinking a pair of needle nose pliers.